Hello friends, welcome to MALUKA IAS. Friends, MALUKA IAS is starting history as an optional for UPSC CSE. फ्रेंड्स, जिस तरीके से आपका हम प्रीलिम्स की गारंटी लेते हैं, मतलब अगर प्री क्लियर नहीं हुआ तो आपकी पूरी फी रिफंड हो जाएगी, और मेंस की अश्योरिटी लेते हैं दैट मिनिमम 80% क्वेश्चंस वुड बी फ्रॉम द क्लास नोट्स और योर फी वुड बी कंप्लीटली रिफंडेड। उसी तरीके से एक बहुत ही कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव फॉर्मेट में हम हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल की तैयारी स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं। फ्रेंड्स, हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल विल बी कवर्ड वेरी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली फ्रॉम ऑल द डाइवर्स सोर्सेज। अलग अलग किताब है और अदर सोर्सेज विच आर अवेलेबल, वी वुड बी कवरिंग देम कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली। फ्रेंड्स, कुछ टॉपिक्स का एज अ डेमो टॉपिक्स वी वुड बी अपलोडिंग ऑन यूट्यूब, और वहां से आप क्वालिटी चेक कर सकते हैं। दिस इज जस्ट एन आई वुड से ट्रेलर। टॉपिक वुड बी कवर्ड मच मोर एलेबोरेटली इन द क्लासेस दैट वुड बी गोइंग ऑन। आज एक हम टॉपिक का भी एक सब टॉपिक लेंगे, द इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन और हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन जिसको बोला जाता है। उसमें से एक टॉपिक आज जो करने वाले हैं दैट इज हरप्पन रिलीजन। सो आई वुड बी डिस्कसिंग हरप्पन रिलीजन। फ्रेंड्स, आंसर राइटिंग इस कोर्स का एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट होगा। जिस तरीके से जीएस में डेली आंसर राइटिंग करवाई जाती है, उसी तरीके से ऑप्शनल में भी मिनिमम 1 or 2 or 3 क्वेश्चंस विल आल्सो बी गिवन सो दैट यू कैन बी कवरिंग दीज क्वेश्चंस वेरी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली। पिछले 10 साल के पूरे क्वेश्चंस आपको कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली करवाए जाएंगे, एंड द नोट्स वुड बी सो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव कि यू डू नॉट नीड टू रेफर टू अदर बुक्स। ऐसा नहीं होगा कि कोई भी टॉपिक आपको सिर्फ ऊपर से करवा दिया गया, उसके बाद आप फिल इन आप कर रहे हो बुक से। दैट विल नॉट बी रिक्वायर्ड। वी वुड बी वर्किंग कंप्लीटली वेरी हार्ड सो दैट यू आर स्कोरिंग वेरी गुड मार्क्स 320 330 इन हिस्ट्री एज एन ऑप्शनल। उसी तरीके से आज एक टॉपिक, उसका छोटा सा हम कुछ टॉपिक का सब टॉपिक आज स्टार्ट करने की कोशिश करेंगे सो दैट यू कुड बी अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि इसके जब सेम टॉपिक को एक एलेबोरेट तरीके से अब क्लास में करवाया जाएगा, द डायमेंशंस दैट वुड बी कवर्ड विल बी मच मोर। द टॉपिक जो अभी हम करने वाले हैं दैट इज हरप्पन रिलीजन। very important topic that we need. Friends, when we think about the हरप्पन्स, एक बात तो श्योर है कि हरप्पन की जो स्क्रिप्ट थी अभी तक वो डेसिफर नहीं हुई है, मतलब अभी तक हरप्पन की स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ी नहीं गई है। तो देयरफॉर हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में जब भी कोई हरप्पन रिलीजन, हरप्पन ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स और एनी अदर थिंग वी वुड बी कवरिंग, it would be the various archaeological evidences that we would be looking into, or archaeological evidences that we would be taking into consideration. When the first thing that should be coming into your mind is that जैसे आप हरप्पन रिलीजन के बारे में बात करते हैं, तो किसी भी रिलीजन के बारे में बात करते हैं, द फर्स्ट थिंग कि भगवान कौन है, who was the god who was being worshipped, who did the Harappans worshipped. पहले बात तो ये हमें पता होना चाहिए। और अगर किसको वर्शिप करते थे, उसके कोई लिटरेरी एविडेंसेस है, उसके कुछ आर्कियोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस है, और सम अदर एविडेंसेस दैट आर बीइंग मेड अवेलेबल, दैट वी शुड बी नोइंग। नॉट ओनली दिस, इस टॉपिक को कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली तरीके से कवर करने के लिए एक आपको आइडिया दे रहे हैं कि जिस तरीके से हम इस टॉपिक को क्लास में इससे भी कहीं ज्यादा एलेबोरेटली करेंगे। जस्ट करने का तरीका, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, प्लेसेस आर देयर, objects of worship, for example mother goddesses were there, male goddesses were there, उनके बारे में आपको सब हेडिंग्स पे पता होना चाहिए। तो कहने का मतलब अभी हम करेंगे कि इस टॉपिक्स में आपको क्या क्या कंपैटिबली कवर करना है। देन ट्री स्पिरिट्स वर देयर, mythological heroes were there, then mythological beasts were there, इनके बारे में कंपैरेटिवली आपको काफी हद तक पता होना चाहिए। एनिमल वर्शिप वाज देयर, बिलीफ इन चार्म्स एंड एमुलेट्स वर देयर, और व्हाट वर देयर बरियल प्रैक्टिसेस दैट वर देयर, डिस्पोजल ऑफ द डेड। हर धर्म के लिए डिस्पोजल ऑफ द डेड बॉडी बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, और उसी कंटेक्स्ट में यहां पे भी हम करेंगे। तो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज, व्हेनेवर यू आर थिंकिंग और कवरिंग दिस टॉपिक, what things should be coming to your mind is proper logic And these you should be covering the places, the objects, the tree spirits, the mythological heroes, the mythological beast, animal worship, amulets, burial practices. Then only this topic will be covered. Classes में बहुत comprehensively होगा. It's a short video that we would be covering और वहाँ से उस level से आपको cover करवा रहे हैं. Just an example. जैसे for example आपके mind में आ रहा है places. When we talk about places, हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन जैसे अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन कहा जाता है, पूरा बताया जाता है अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन क्या होता है, रूरल सिविलाइजेशन कंपैरेटिवली क्या होता है. लेट अस टेक एन एग्जांपल ऑफ वन सिटी कॉल्ड मोहनजोदारो. The city was divided into two parts. One is citadel, second is a lower town. Just moving a bit aside from the topic, थोड़ा सा आपको बता देते हैं सिटी, सिटाडल, लोअर टाउन. सिटाडल का मतलब होता है एनी स्ट्रक्चर दैट इज बेसिकली मेड ऑन अ और कंस्ट्रक्टेड ऑन अ रेज्ड प्लेटफॉर्म एंड दैट वुड बी सराउंडेड बाय अ बाउंड्री वॉल. जैसे कोई फोर्ट हो गया, उसको सिटाडल बोलते हैं. लोअर टाउन विल बी अ सिटाडल विल बी दैट एरिया वेयर रिच पीपल आर लिविंग और रिलीजियस पीपल और हेड्स और एनी अदर थिंग. इफ द किंग्स वर देयर तो किंग्स हो सकते हैं. In the lower town, it would be the commoners that would be there. The different types of Harappan towns were there. For example, this is a citadel, this is a lower town, and they may be surrounded by a boundary wall, separate boundary wall. There can be a citadel, there can be a lower town, they can be surrounded by a common boundary wall. There can be a citadel, there can be a lower town, and an area in which only the citadel was basically being surrounded. The lower town was not surrounded by a boundary wall. There can be another dimension in which citadel was there, lower town was there, and none of them is surrounded by a boundary wall. Another division that you can see, citadel and a lower town, and or for example a middle town is also being constructed. Another dimension of cities was there. There was no division that was found. Only one collective part was there. There are different types of cities that would be there. हम उसको अलग-अलग तरीके से हम cover भी उस चीज को किया जाएगा. Back to just to give an idea, citadel was basically a structure that was made on a raised platform, and good number of times it was also being surrounded by a boundary wall. Citadel. Now, when you talk about Harappan religion, it should not be that Harappan the places were there at Mohenjo-daro, different things have been found. You need to say what was basically found in those areas. Just for example, citadel. In the citadel area, we find great bath, assembly hall, is being found. Great bath basically, just for an example, when classes would be covered, PDF, PPTs, etc., things would be shown. Just to have a pictorial representation. We are not slide readers. ऐसा नहीं कि स्लाइड आ रही है और पढ़ते जा रहे. It will be everything just to show pictures. Rest everything will be on a plain board. एक आप ऐसे लगा लो कि तालाब है बना हुआ है. A purity of the water that has been there. Water inlet, water outlet. Over here the rooms are basically being constructed. We would be showing all these pictures. Great bath. It was important from a religious context. Assembly hall, it was thought that it may be used for certain religious purposes also. Not only this, in the lower town in Mohenjo-daro also, certain important developments have been found. For example, a stone sculpture has been found of a 16.5 inches, and that is basically lying on a raised platform, indicating a certain religious context. Not only this, but a stone statue has also been found, indicating a religious perspective. So, जब आप लिख रहे हो that Mohenjo-daro, what you do not have to write is that कि Mohenjo-daro में citadel and assembly hall has been found, which was important from a religious perspective. नहीं, this is just a part of the complete story. What you have to write is, for example, in Mohenjo-daro, it has been divided into two parts. In the citadel, this has been found. Lower town, this is what has been found. Because it's not GS, it's optional paper, and you need to be very specific while you're writing. Same is in the other areas also. Therefore, you should be knowing that what are the things that are basically being found in what areas. After moving from the places that are there, let us discuss about the objects of worship. Objects of worship that are basically being there. And how do we come to know about this? The information of all these things, what was being worshipped and what was the importance of that, is basically from the seals that are there and from the terracotta figurines. Seals basically, just to understand, stamp जब मोहर के लिए है, the seals can be a square seal, it can be a rectangular seal that is there. The seals of the Persian people, or for example Mesopotamian people, Persian seal was a circular button shaped seal. Mesopotamia वाले की जब बात करते, cylindrical seal was there. Indians had their own type of seals that was different figures were made on that particular seal. It was a square or a rectangular seal, just to add to the information. Now, just for example, on these terracotta figurines or the seals, take for example that in seal a figure of Proto-Shiva has been found. A person is sitting on a table. Below the table, two deers are sitting. He is having horns. He is in a meditating position. And he is surrounded by elephants like rhino, elephants, buffalo. These animals are there at that point of time, tigers. So, as he is being surrounded by different animals, what Marshall has to say, लिखना पड़ेगा आपको, that he basically represented whom? Lord Pashupati. Which means to say that, and the depiction of Lord Pashupati has been there, Proto-Shiva has been there. This means a god that was worshipped at that point of time is sitting in a meditation or a yogic posture and is surrounded by different animals. Very important. Not only this, that you have to write that Proto-Shiva seal has been found, other evidences has also been there. For example, in another seal in which he is sitting, for example, there two horns are there, and in between the horns, one plant is coming out of it. Again, to give a representation. Not only that, this is one example of Proto-Shiva. Another example where a plant is coming out of between the two horns. Another example on that, where his depiction on different seals has been there, that he is being accompanied by snakes. ऐसी भी images आपको वहां पे देखने को मिलती हैं. So you do not have to write only that a seal of Proto-Shiva has been found. Along with that, you have to write that this is the second type, a third category that which clearly represent that he was Proto-Shiva, that he was Lord Pashupati, as has been said by John Marshall. Not only this, another thing that becomes important, that is in Mohenjo-daro, the evidence from almost every house, the evidence of a phallus worship, which means shivling, has been found. From the nook and corners of almost every house in Mohenjo-daro, you find the evidences of phallus worship. Shivling की पूजा करते थे वो लोग, which gives an indication that Lord Shiva was a very important deity for these people. Not only this, mother goddesses were also being there. Also being there. Large number of terracotta figurines has been found depicting mother goddesses. Not all females with girdle, lion cloth, wearing necklaces has been there. आपको देखने को मिलता है. And they wear a fan shaped headdress has also been there. All these indicate fertility cult. The belief in the fertility cult was there to a great extent, very, very important. and the more number of figurines are found basically of a female goddesses, which say that the worship of the mother goddesses was much more as compared to male goddesses during the time of the Harappans. Very important to understand. They may also be indicating at pregnancy also. Not only male goddesses, female goddesses, but also the tree spirits have also been found. The evidences have also been found. For example, the worship of the people tree has been there. Seals पे ऊपर बना हुआ है. Not only this, for example, ऐसा भी कहीं पे दिखाया गया है that for example from the branches of the trees someone is looking at others and people are standing in front to pay oblation. कुछ ना कुछ पाठ पूजा के लिए लोग आगे खड़े हैं और ब्रांचेस में से पीपल की ब्रांचेस में से कोई उनको देख रहा है. Evidences have been found. Not only this, 7 human figures has also been there. यहाँ पे tree है बना हुआ, उसके आगे for example 7 different persons are there just to give an offering instead of people tree, along with a horned figure standing in it, which give a clear indication that they had a firm belief in the tree spirits also. Figures are looking at the branches, means उसको comparatively मानते थे और उनकी पूजा भी करी जाती थी. The tree spirits has also been found. तो जब आप trees की बात करते हैं, आप सिर्फ यहाँ तक अपने आंसर्स को लिमिट नहीं कर सकते that people tree the worship was comparatively prevalent. नहीं, evidences has to be given. Then only the things become comparatively more solid in optional paper. Not only tree spirits, but also some mythological heroes were there. Mythological heroes. Every religion has certain mythology that is associated with it. There is, for example, certain figures are there in which, for example, human figures with horns on its head. Yes, sir, ho gaya, for example, horns hai. Or the figurines that are there, for example, people are having tails. Mythological figures. Not only this, but a human, a man grappling with a tiger. Two tigers have been depicted. He is similar to Gilgamesh. Very important. आप सीधा नहीं लिख सकते कि mythological heroes were there. दिखाना पड़ेगा कि क्या mythological heroes थे, किस तरीके से that people were there. जब mythology थी लेकिन इस तरीके से उनको डिपिक्ट किया जा रहा था. Not only that how they were depicted, but also, for example, a man is fighting, grappling with 2 tigers. एक हीरो, mythological hero, गिलगमेश की तरह ही था. Not only mythological heroes, but mythological beast was also there. Certain animals. कुछ ऐसे इमेजेस सील्स के ऊपर आपको ऐसी इमेजेस भी देखने को मिलती हैं where half of the body of a male or a human and half body is basically of an animal. Existence नहीं है लेकिन आपको देखने को मिलता है. Mythological beasts has also been there. For example, Narasimha, half body of a man, half body of a lion. Or some people even say that a unicorn bull that has been depicted was basically not existing. That was a mythological beast that was there. Depictions have been there. Animals are represented as creatures, half body of a human, half body of an animal being. Male and a female combination is also being there. Not only this, fire altars have also been found. जैसे हवन कुंड टाइप होता है, लोथलैंड कालीबंगा में आपको बहुत एविडेंसेस इस चीज के देखने को मिल जाएंगे. Not only that you have to cover mythological heroes and mythological beasts, but also that the worship of the animals were also there. And you cannot just write कि bull was being worshipped, ये was worshipped. नहीं यार, it needs an authenticity. It says that a bull bison has been depicted from a seal that has been found at Chanhodaro. लिखना पड़ेगा आपको. Then only you would be getting marks. A plant sprouting out of the heads. Coming out of the head, that are also to be depicted. Not only this, a Brahmani bull on seals have also been depicted. So friends, what I am trying to say is whenever you are preparing this topic, it has to be covered comprehensively. आप सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं कह सकते कि animal worship was there, for example, so and so animals were worshipped. You have to give an evidence of archaeology for seals or terracotta figurines, evidences has to be given. Then only things become authentic. आपको लिखना पड़ेगा, a bull by stone has been found, seals have been found at Johannadaru. A Brahmani bull was depicted on the seals. तभी आपको comparatively वहाँ पे number मिलेंगे. Not only this, what another aspect that comparatively becomes important is, for example, यहाँ पे snake worship, serpent worship भी लिख सकते हैं. The prevalence of the serpent worship was also there. Very important. Not only this, another subtopic that we would be taking up in this sub point that I would be saying is burial of the dead. आज भी हम देखते हैं there different parts of the country people practice different type of the burial system. As Harappan civilization is basically an heterogeneous civilization, heterogeneous population was there, they must also be having different methods of their burial practices also. Therefore, it becomes important to understand this. For example, in graves, the dead was basically buried on their back in a north-south direction. North-south direction में उनको comparatively bury किया जा रहा था. And the dead, not only this, but buried with ornaments and other daily use items also. कहने का मतलब क्या था? These people, they had a faith or they had a belief in life after death also. Life after death में भी comparatively belief था इनका. Not only this, but what is even more important that we should be understanding and knowing that different people were there, उनका burial practices भी अलग से होगा. Just for example, a complete burial has been found at Harappa. Has been found at Harappa. Coffin burial has also been found at Harappa only. Fractional burial has been found. Adha daba diya. And animals would be eating at, for example, at Bhagwanpura. Pit burial has been found at Kalibangan. A pot burial has been found at Sarkotada. Not only this, a joint burial has also been found at Lothal and Kalibangan also. What I am trying to say is that the different people, their burial practices were comparatively different. But one thing that was common to all the civilization is that, to all the Indus Valley civilization is that, the graves were comparatively far away from the habitation area. जहाँ पे वो लोग रह रहे थे, graves उनकी थोड़ी सी दूर थी, because these people were very much concerned about their civic sense. Therefore, it is very, very important. Now, friends, अभी हमने जो किया है, जब आप हरप्पन रिलीजन आप पढ़ोगे, तो हरप्पन रिलीजन में आप कौन-कौन से करोगे? One is places of the worship, objects of the worship, male, female, etc. Mother goddesses were there, and animal tree spirits were there, then mythological heroes were there, mythological beasts were there, animals were being worshipped, the burial methods that were there, all these things will be covered in the class even more comprehensively when we would be taking up as a subject, as an optional. So कहने का मतलब क्या हुआ? You do not need to look for anything else other than the notes that will be provided by MALUKA IAS. So friends, do join MALUKA IAS for history as an optional, and history as an optional will be covered very, very comprehensively. Special focus on mapping aspect, special focus on daily answer writing will be given, so that you are definitely scoring 320, 330 marks in history as an optional, or there would be 100% personal guidance that would be given to all the students. Thank you very much.